Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. We're going to quickly jump into CoinGecko here, see where we're at. We're sitting out at 2.61. Obviously, we have a lot more red than we've seen in the past couple of days, where it was literally straight green just the other day here. So we're going to look at some articles and some video footage, kind of looking for a reason of kind of why we've been having like a little pullback in the market here. So we look at Bitcoin sitting at 42.8, Ethereum's at 3,200. Binance Coin at 480, Tether's Solana sitting at 150, Cardano's 126, XRP is at 77 cents, Terra's at 80, Polkadot's at 26, and then you can just carry on and see the rest here. But looking at the fear and greed index, we can see that we're still in extreme fear. We just posted a video just the other day talking about utilizing the fear and greed index as a potential indicator to help with investment strategies, and something that I personally use. Obviously, when there's a lot of fear in the market, typically, per history and per, big investors, when they see a lot of fear, it's typically a point where they tend to, purchase and accumulate more. So we've kind of been in this fear and extreme fear range for a while, as you can see here now, yesterday, last week, and this last month. So coming on, starting with some solid information when it comes to Bitcoin adoption. Tonga to copy El Salvador's bill making Bitcoin legal tender, says former MP. In a ruling that is almost identical to El Salvador's bill, Tongan bigwig Lord Fuitsua anticipates that his country could adopt Bitcoin by November. Another domino is lined up to fall down the route to Bitcoinization. On Wednesday, a former lawmaker of the Pacific Island nation of Tonga shared a play-by-play approach to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. This is massive. Even though, I think they only have like something over like 100,000, citizens within their country, but it's still, it's just trickling. It's like a ripple effect, one after another. In a series of tweets, Lord Fuitsua, a former member of parliament for Tonga, released an ETA for Bitcoin becoming legal tender in Tonga. Copying El Salvador's playbook, the move could onboard more than 100,000 Tongans onto the Bitcoin network. So keep this in mind. Keep this positive news in mind whenever we go through the rest of this. When we're talking about, what's going on with our the economy and the inflation in the United States, and then the effects of that on the crypto market. So yesterday we talked about the consumer price index, so the CPI, when Powell and the Fed had came out. So we were sitting at a 7%. Nothing compared to in the 80s when it hit over 14%, but we're early in 2022, so who knows where we're going to be, based off of the policies that Powell implements this year here. So moving on, here's just another visual, the supply chain snags that continue to drive up prices. So the big one with, motor fuel being up 50%, and you can look at all these other classifications here, pause the video and check it out. But things are just, because of inflation's happening, things are getting out of control. The purchasing power of the dollar is going down. The value of the dollar is going down. So what's going on today? So came across this article in the Wall Street Journal, and tech stocks drag down S&P 500 NASDAQ composite. So as you can see here, we had, like I said, we just had a bunch of green just yesterday within our market, the crypto market. But now today we're having a lot of red. Bitcoin down 2.5%. Ethereum's 2.7%. So, what could be the reasoning for that? So one reason I think, and the sentiment in the market is, investors on Thursday examined data showing that the filing for jobless claims rose to a seasonally adjusted 230,000 last week, higher than economists had expected. So I think they expected like half of what this number is. So a tight U.S. labor market has capped applications near pre-pandemic lows for the past 2 months. So I'm sure that this has a lot of influence on, a lot of investors out there. Whenever they see this information, they probably did sell off, trying to anticipate kind of what's to come. So as we were talking about when it comes to inflation and the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar, so we brought up this chart about the $1 US is currently worth 2,300 sats. So if you look at it 10 years ago, $1 US would have got you over almost, we'll just say 15 million sats. And then just a year ago, you'd be getting 3,000 sats. So in a 10-year period, look at the purchasing power of a dollar. And we pulled up another image of the purchasing power of the dollar. whenever we had implemented certain policies in our nation, our government, and then when it came to getting off the gold standard and all these trickle-in effects that had affected the purchasing power of our dollars. So keep this in mind. When it comes to the inflation problem within the U.S., it does have a huge impact on our markets, especially the crypto market. And there's a video I'm getting ready to show you that's going to go further in detail about inflation and effects and kind of where we're going, looking out into the future.
Now, you have called for this, Professor Hanke. You have called for 6 to 9% inflation by the end of 2021. So your forecast has been accurate. The question on everybody's mind now is this the peak?
No, it's not the peak. So since COVID started, David, in March of 2020, the money supply measured by M2 in the United States is grown by over 38%. Now, some of that growth accommodates growth in the real economy. So a little bit is drained away for that. A little bit is drained away because there's an increase in the demand for money as the economy is growing. But out of that 38% plus 38% growth, about 75% of that is left as a residual. Now that is going to go into the economy as inflation. And that, as I say, starts after a period of about 12 to 24 months. And so we're just getting the start of this is flowing through into the system. This is the quantity theory of money in action. You produce excess money, and eventually with a lag of 12 months to 24 months, bang, it starts coming out, that excess in inflation.
Remember now, Professor, that the Fed has indicated 3 rate hikes this year. Some speculate potentially even more may happen in 2022, and they've already started their asset purchase tapering program. So do you think that 2022 will be the year of lower money supply and hence finally lower inflation?
Well, number one, the Fed's doing a lot of talking, but they're not doing any tightening. The money supply measured by M2 is still growing at over 12% on a year-over-year basis. And to actually hit their inflation target at 2% per year, they would have to bring that growth rate down to about 5 to 6%. That's about half of what it actually is right now. So you must keep your eye. It is all about the money supply. It is not yakking about interest rate increases and things like that. You only look at the money supply. And the money supply right now is growing about double the rate that would be consistent with a 2% inflation target.
So are you saying then that even if they do raise interest rates, I'm not saying they will, but suppose they do raise by 75 basis points, even 1%, that in itself may not be enough to reduce the money supply. It won't bring, in other words, a higher interest rate, a higher Fed funds rate may not necessarily bring down the M2 money supply.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the problem with what we're facing now is that the excess that they've already produced, that's there now, we know it's there, and they're still producing an excess, by the way, this 12% versus a golden growth rate of around 6%. They're still pumping things up. That's going to be with us for a while. This is going to be persistent because remember, the lag between money injection and inflation, 12 to 24 months, as you indicated, that's correct. So even now they're producing money at too fast a rate, and that will be with us. Right, what they're doing today will be with us for another year or two.
So coming back to this image here, just to look at the the purchasing power of the dollar just going down and decreasing over time due to inflation. That was Steve Hanke, professor economist, kind of giving his input on where he sees the market and inflation. So the big overwhelming concept I got out of that is like it doesn't matter what Jerome Powell and the Fed does. It seems like they're producing at a too fast of rate to actually combat that with whatever interest spike or hike or spike that they want to implement. And he was saying about like it's all about the money supply. So like, what are they going to do about the money supply? Are they going to come door to door and start ripping dollars out of consumers' hands and people's hands? Like, what is going to truly be a way of getting this inflation issue under control? And just like I told you, when it comes to great news like the another country adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, and you start seeing all this adoption and positivity within the crypto market, it's really no secret anymore, and it's quite evident that Bitcoin is a great hedge when it comes to other asset classes. So as inflation is going crazy and it's something we're going to be dealing with, it's clear to see somewhere more years down the line, no matter what they do in the Fed, it's like you have to find a hedge. So truly, I have high conviction, and I believe it based off of the research I see. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, digital assets is a great hedge against what's going on. I mean, look at the performance just off these 2 years compared to all the other asset classes. I mean, this is just one diagram here. So, obviously there's a lot of inflation information out there that's going on, and talking about, using Bitcoin as a hedge, and, how inflation is affecting the markets and stuff. And there's a lot of fear within the market right now. A lot of people out there thinking we're in a bear market, because of what our status is right now. So most of the analysts I follow, don't think we're in a bear market. But then there is a solid analyst, BC Backer, that I follow, who thinks Bitcoin is in a bear market. He's just waiting for it to find its bottom and have its retracement, so then we can get into our, altcoin, our final hoorah altcoin season. But here's an analyst I follow, DIY Investing, and he's pretty much given his testimony on why he doesn't think that this Bitcoin cycle isn't over yet.
Was when Bitcoin was first breaking out and we were about to make a new all-time high over here, I said that if Bitcoin, for whatever reason, we get to the end of the year and Bitcoin is either right at the all-time highs or even below the all-time highs, right within the previous market structure, I told you guys that I was going to be willing to hold through that period, even though it was going against my 4-year cycle timeframes. And the reason why is simply because, once again, we've only finished 1 wave, 3 wave, and we still need a 5 wave before this entire move is done. And so I still have a lot of confidence being able to hold, even though we have deviated slightly from the 4-year cycle timeframes. I have confidence to continue to hold through that, expecting one more move, simply because the Elliott waves show that we're missing a 5-wave impulse. If we don't get a 5-wave impulse and this is the beginning of the bear market, that would pretty much just be, the first time in history Bitcoin never made a blow off top. And I don't find that that's going to be the case in the first cycle that we have institutions.
So that's just some food for thought. He's one of the analysts that I kind of utilize as a reference when it comes to understanding the technical side of the market. Now, with all you investors out there that are accumulating and holding for the long term, just like I posted yesterday, Kathy Wood, ARK Invest director, crypto assets will be worth 40 trillion by 2030. We're currently sitting at a 2.1 trillion. That's pretty much a 20x from where we're at, per ARK Invest and Kathy Wood's market cap prediction for 2030. That's a 20x. So it just lets you know like how early we are and how infant we are in comparison to all the other asset classes. Look at the adoption from the inception of Bitcoin till now. There's been so much growth, has been tremendous, and there's so many things going on in the space, and this crypto market and digital assets and everything that it encompasses, the blockchain technology in general, offers so much and can truly change the course of our lives. I mean, look at the internet, when the internet started, and look how far we've progressed. Look at the great companies that have been established, due to the utility and the just the ability of the internet to transform companies and transform the way we do everyday life. So I just wanted to come on here and kind of talk about, how I'm viewing kind of what's going on in the market, my understanding of the market, and just kind of giving my testimony. But yeah, we're sitting at 2.1 trillion. We obviously have some red due to, some more inflation stuff, the jobless claims coming out, all these different things that are affecting the market. So all in all, stay strong, be safe.